joining us again on our program on television this morning on ITV. Today is Wednesday and the 19th day of December 20. It's just about 6 more days, and of course it's going to be the Christmas. So we're still saying Merry Christmas, and complimenting ourselves, and sending all those good wishes around, most especially to our loved ones. My name is Evan Sunokugi, and of course on our discussion segment today, we are going to be looking at two main issues. First and foremost, as we celebrate, we must bring to mind that there is an outbreak of yellow fever in Edo State. That is very truthful. And as we speak now, we understand that authorities involved has started a kind of a vaccination campaign. So we tend to have some officials from the Ministry of Health, on our program this morning, so that they can come and tell us how we really need to go about this vaccination. This vaccination, because it's something that everybody needs, and it will amaze you to know that yellow fever is one very bad ailment, bad disease, so to say, that it does not really have a cure. All that we have now is just treatment. So as we celebrate the Yuletide, as we celebrate the Christmas, and of course as we celebrate the festive period, we must have it at the back of our mind that there is yellow fever in Edo State. There is yellow fever in town. So let us try as much as possible to make ourselves available for the vaccination that authorities involved are presenting before us. So we're going to be doing some great talks along that line today as we go on the program this morning on ITV. And also too, we tend to have the Edo State Coordinator for Standard Organization of Nigeria, Mr. Elisami Akogu, for Edo and Delta State now, as he comes around to give us some things we really need to be careful of. Because you understand that this period of the year, where we have so many types of consumable items in town, you have rice, you have groundnut oil, you have the palm oil, you have the seasoning, or seasonals now, you have all sorts of meat and all that, and items that you also put on. So we also need to be very careful. So our focus today on that discussion today is going to ensure how we can ensure quality assurance, because it is not just all about quantity. We must also know that whatever we consume this period, whatever we buy this period, whatever we take home this period, whatever we take into our system in terms of the kind of beverages that we buy home, in terms of the kind of consumable items generally that we buy home, we must try as much as possible that quality should be the watchword. So we're going to be having some great talks along that line today as we move along on the program this morning on ITV. As we speak now, it has been presumably reported that about 13 local governments, are down with have the outbreak of yellow fever, and of course about 4 are the confirmed cases. Well, we are so privileged to have Dr. Osamoyi Irowa with us this morning, who is going to be discussing on some of the vaccination campaign that the government has put in place against yellow fever. And of course, Dr. Osamoyi Irowa is the Director of Disease Control with the Edo State Ministry of Health, and also the Incident Manager, Yellow Fever Outbreak Response in Edo State. So you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV. Now, let's start. What do we mean exactly by yellow fever when we say yellow fever?
Yellow fever is a disease condition which is characterized by sudden onset of fever and yellowness of the eyes starting within 14 days of the onset of that fever. And it is a disease caused by a virus called yellow fever virus.
Okay. And
when any of those cases happens, one case is termed an outbreak. That means it's not supposed to be. It's a viral hemorrhagic disease, which means it's a disease that actually can end up in causing bleeding from the person through the mouth, nose, and all the openings of the body.
Okay.
That's what we mean by yellow fever.
Now, we understand that it's caused by a pathogen, if I get that correctly now, as carried by the mosquito. And the risk of this is that the mosquito does not even bite at night. It bites during the daytime. So you want to add more to this?
Yeah, the yellow fever virus, which is the causative organism for the disease, is a virus that is carried by infected Aedes mosquitoes. And those mosquitoes actually reside outside the homes. They live in the bushes and around the homes, and they mostly bite in the daytime. And that is true. So for you to have somebody transmitting the virus from one person to the other, you need a bite from that particular species of mosquitoes, not the Anopheles mosquito or the one you commonly see transmitting malaria parasites. So, and the mosquito is usually mostly found in the forests.
Okay.
But some of them find their ways to near the homes where we live, particularly when you have bushes and dirty neighborhoods.
Okay.
So that's why when we are talking about prevention, we actually emphasize the fact that you have to have a neat environment, clear the bushes around your homes, and also ensure that even if you have to go to the interior, you must try and wear long sleeves and shirts or clothes that cover your limbs and all that. And also you must take the prevention, which is the vaccine, as it is available in the communities.
Okay. Now, it looks as if that people in the rural settings are more at risk.
Yeah, it is actually more of a disease of the rural setting because we have two strains, the jungle type and the urban type. And then
we have two types of the yellow fever.
The mode of transmission actually defines that. Because usually the yellow fever itself, the virus, more of a disease of the animal that infects monkeys mostly, and Aedes mosquitoes or mosquitoes in the forest. But when human beings go to the forest to transact their activities, like maybe farmers, those who go to the deep forest for hunting and the rest of it, they are the ones actually bring it back from the forest to the neighborhood. And once it's in our neighborhood and you have that particular species of mosquito, the Aedes mosquito, biting somebody who is infected already, the parasite, the virus can now grow in the person and eventually infect other persons. So we find it as we call it a zoonotic infection, which means it's a disease of animals primarily. But when we interface with the environment of where those animals who carry the virus reside, we tend to bring it to our neighborhood. And once it's in our neighborhood, one infected person can transmit it to another person through also mosquito bite. And that species of mosquito is the one that is the culprit in this situation.
Okay.
So it's not by contact
or
by other means or airborne mode of transmission.
There must be a bite from the mosquito.
From an infected
mosquito.
It's not all the mosquitoes will bite you and then give you yellow fever. So all the preventive measures we preach are around this mode of transmission, particularly even when we talk about sleeping under the net, even though we know it bites more in the daytime, but when you're in the home, some of them can find their ways in. So, and using repellents helps you to reduce the risk of.
Okay, before we proceed, let's talk on the some of the symptoms. Now, these symptoms, are they gender specific? Are they age specific? Or the symptoms, they are universal? They manifest generally in the same way?
Okay, first and foremost, the virus can infect any age group or age rate, from the young people to the very old ones. And then, whether you're a male or female, you're not free from the risk of being infected by yellow fever virus. So the symptoms are virtually the same. Sudden onset of fever, and then body pains and all of it that you find in normal situation of fever, like it mimics malaria at the beginning, or other forms of causes of fever. Body aches, headaches, vomiting, and in the later stages of it, you now begin to see that yellowness of the eyes. And if it does not get halted at that point, you will get to a point where you can have the person go into coma, and then even up to the level of death. Really, it's not all the cases that are serious.
Okay.
But I'm describing the scenario of a serious, severe case.
An acute case.
An acute, severe case. So most cases are not severe. You can just actually have yellow fever infection and a virus infection and then pass through without even knowing that you ever had it. But when that occurs to you, you now automatically have your lifelong immunity, which we expect to have from even the vaccination. So, but for the severe cases, which is why we are worried, because those are the ones that cause serious morbidity and even deaths. And the deaths of anybody is significant to any family and to the community and to the state at large. So that's why we are only worried that we don't want anybody to have those severe cases, even though minor cases may pass by without anybody knowing. But for those severe cases, even if it's one in the whole state, the state government, not this leadership of Obaseki, is particularly concerned that nobody should die.
Now, what is this presumption that about 13 local governments are down with the yellow fever? Is it true?
Yes,
in those states?
The issue is this now, where there's what we call surveillance system, which is operational in the states.
Okay.
And it's extremely very efficient in those states. And the activity is domiciled in my department, in the Ministry of Health. What we do every week, or every day rather, we pick out the various diagnoses. And then we have what we call disease of public health importance. And all of these ones are all outlined, about 41 of them. So if you have those symptoms that meet the case definition of a disease condition, you call that person a suspected case. So in these 13 local government areas, we have had suspected cases of this yellow fever disease. And suspected case means you have yellowness of the eyes and fever. And that's where the 13 local government area comes in. But when we now come to...
Can we just name some of these 13 local governments?
Oh, the most affected local government area is Uhonde.
Uhonde.
Yes, it's the worst hit local government area in the state. We have Bubaha. Okay, we have Ovia Northeast. We have Isan West, Isan Central. We have Owan West and Owan East. We have Isan Northeast. Okay, and then we also have, in this part again, we also have Orion as one of those cases where we have suspected cases. So these are some of the, Igwebe is also one of those local government areas. So, but when we look at the confirmed or presumptive confirmed cases, they are not from the 13 local government areas.
Okay.
But once we have picked a suspected case, we manage that local government area as if there's a case, because the diagnosis is not done by just seeing a patient. The diagnosis is confirmed by a laboratory, which is not in Edo State, is a reference lab.
And perhaps which is not in the country.
It's in the country.
But I understand it's in South Africa, is that true?
No, it's not in South Africa. The diagnosis is confirmed, is first of all, presumptive diagnosis is from our national reference lab, public health reference lab in Yaba, Lagos. And then there's also the African Center for Excellence Genomic Laboratory in the Dimas University. They can make the diagnosis. But even then, it's not enough for you to say this is a presumptive diagnosis. For the international community to accept that this case is actually true, there is what we call, a reference lab which is in Dakar, Senegal. That is where the samples are now taken to secondarily. After being diagnosed as positive in Nigeria, you need to take it there for WHO to accept it, as World Health Organization to accept that this is true and all that. That's the center that has been defined in the sub-region, the second sub-region for diagnosis of such. So when those samples are sent there and now confirmed that the ones that were done in Lagos are true, then you now say it's a confirmed diagnosis. So from those samples that have been done in Lagos and sent to that place, we have 26 presumptive diagnoses from Nigeria. From the 26 that we sent to, from the samples we sent to Dakar, 20 of them are actually have been brought back as confirmed positive, even saying that the ones done in Nigeria were quite true. So those are the ones we say confirmed cases, because they were sent to international level and the international community has accepted it and said it is true. Okay. And that is actually what dictates a lot of the activities and the delays that we've had and all that, because it takes a process.
Now, I don't understand what is really going on, because I do know that the local governments in Nigeria, state governments, and even the federal governments always embark on this vaccination, immunization for our children between the ages of 0 to 5 years. Now, how come we still have this outbreak? Is it that this vaccination program, this immunization program, because this vaccination or immunization program is actually against the 5 killer diseases, of which the yellow fever is among. So what is happening? How come we still have this outbreak?
So in fact, one of the things that we do once we find the case, I will go through that before I come to answering the question directly, is the fact that when we go and investigate every case that we've seen, we find out why. We try to find out why. That's how we can tell you, oh, we are more males affected, it's more in the rural setting and all that. In addition to that, we find out how much of vaccines have been given to those communities. What we notice is that some of the communities, most affected communities, did not avail themselves of the vaccines for whatever reason. Either the vaccines were not available and all that. So they were not given vaccines by way of...
Is that from an empirical discovery or just...
Yes, it's something that you see, there is always effort by the government to ensure that vaccines are accepted by the people and taken to the people as much as can be, even though it may not be perfect from what you can see. It is obvious from our findings in this particular outbreak that some of those areas where you have this outbreak have poor or low coverage, vaccination coverage. And that is a major factor that we think has helped to make these cases come up so easily. And if you also look at our epidemiological data, the ages between 10 years and 19 years are the most affected. Between 10 and 19 years are the most affected, which shows that these are people that would have availed themselves of the routine vaccination we started even so many years back in this country. So they would have been prevented, but unfortunately, for one reason or the other, they were not vaccinated, and so their immunity did not protect them from having the yellow fever vaccine. So that's why in this present dispensation, the government is doing mass vaccination of those in those communities and even contiguous communities to ensure that their immunity is boosted for them not to have the yellow fever disease. Because if you take a dose of yellow fever vaccine, which is actually given to children at the age of 9 months, alongside with the measles vaccine, you are protected for life.
For life?
For life. So even if you are taking yellow fever vaccine by a proxy through yellow card, sick during traveling, you are also protected for life. And if somebody has actually had the infection without being severe, the person is also protected for life. So what we are now doing as a proactive measure, we have been doing that routine vaccination. But for now that there is an outbreak, there is a reactive vaccination the government is embarking on, which covers 13 of these local government areas. The really confirmed cases came from about 6 of the local government areas, of the 13. But the suspected cases came from all of these 13
local government areas.
Yes,
now there are assumptions that some of these vaccination has the drugs, they are simple multivitamins. For some people, they believe that, well, these are things that I can take. I don't need to avail myself specially to some of the vaccination programs that government is offering, like what the Edo State government is doing. How correct is that?
It is a misconception and it's a misunderstanding of the system. You see, that's why we try to do everything possible to carry people along. It is misinformation if somebody got that kind of information from any source. Multivitamins and vaccines are not the same thing. Vaccines are things to make your body develop immunity against an invader, which is the infection. All right, so multivitamins are just things to make your body work better. It does not prevent and may not stimulate antibodies as the immunity you desire. So they are not the same thing at all. I know people consume vitamins the way they want, thinking that that's the security for them. You can rest assured that's not true. An example of this is what we are even going through. So you could take all the multivitamins in the country, in the world, and yet you will have infection. So infection vaccines and multivitamins are not the same thing.
Okay. Now let's talk more on this vaccination campaign that the Edo State is on now. Now we understand that it has to do with a certain age group. Is that true?
Yes, for the campaign that is ongoing, it's actually a national and international intervention to this outbreak, more than just the state government intervention. Because it is an international intervention, whereby WHO, the federal government, and the state are collaborating. The source of these vaccines are from the international level, and they are brought in free of charge at no cost to anybody, and they are not readily available, and because they are expensive to produce anyway. But they are not readily available. The international community, looking at the risk factor and epidemiological data, have made up that for you to stop the spread of this disease, first and foremost, you must stop those. You must stop the spread of that disease in those who are actively involved, engaged in interfacing with those opportunity of getting those organisms that will give you the virus.
Which fall within the
age range of 10, the 9 months and 44 years.
That's okay.
It's not like anybody cannot take it. Everybody can take the vaccine. But the point is that if you stop a young man who goes to the interior to farm, or the lady that goes to the interior to farm, from bringing the virus from out there, or from his activity or her activity, you would have stopped the virus from coming to the neighborhood. So even if there are elderly people who are still there, they will be protected because the virus is not in the system. If it's not in the system, you can't be infected. And because of actually also economic factor at the international level, they look at because it's an expensive venture. Like I said, anybody can take the vaccine. But for this intervention, which is called reactive vaccination, we are targeting the ages of 9 months to
44 years.
If you watch it also, we are looking at core 13 local government areas that are most hit, because some communities don't have the infection.
Okay.
And if they don't have it, even though you are going to make more effort to ensure that they don't also have it by way of ensuring that they take their routine vaccines or vaccination, then you also ensure that you monitor them closely by surveillance activities to ensure that no case comes up in that area.
Okay. Now this vaccination campaign now, is it gender sensitive?
How? It's not.
Is it only applicable to maybe male or female?
It's everybody.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's everybody.
Okay.
Male or female, and you will define the age range that we are targeting. If some people are at higher risk, they could be given the chance to be looked at as on specific basis. Like, okay, this person lives in the forest where you have all the Aedes mosquitoes, where the virus is spreading so bad. You may consider those people, okay, this particular community and all that. There are also exclusion criteria for you not to give the vaccines. Like, if a woman is pregnant, we may not give because we don't want to put the baby she's carrying at risk. Okay,
so from 9 months to age 44 years, irrespective of your gender.
Yes.
Now, this vaccination, we're told they can be found in public health facilities. Is that correct?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
There are designated feast posts, health facilities across the 13 LGAs that you can just walk in and take at no cost to anybody.
Oh, you don't pay for that?
You don't pay, it's free. It's totally free. You don't pay for anything. All you just do is present yourself, and you get the vaccine so easily. Okay. And it doesn't take time. You don't even waste time.
Now, do you also have to maybe give your blood sample?
No. It's just an injection which will give you around your shoulder region.
But you know, that's also an issue with the kind of people that some people, because when it has to do with injection, maybe incision by needle or any form, people may not readily make themselves available.
No, quite frankly, let me tell you, the injection is not painful.
It's not painful.
It's very tiny, and the quantity is very tiny, 0.5 mil. Is the injection that is specific? They are specified injection, rather needles and syringes that are used. They come with the whole package. It's not the regular big needle you may be worried about. And they are given such that before you even know it has been done. Okay,
there are reactions. Some people react to them.
Yeah, there are. For every drug or medication, there is a chance of reaction.
So how are you fighting that reaction?
We have a prepared. We have a prepared system for any point where you have the injection being given. There is a pack that is available for those who may react. Okay. And so we also warn people, do you react to things like egg or something like that? If you do...
You mean the egg that we eat?
No, not some people, maybe some human beings may react to egg.
Okay.
And so if such people who are in the extreme of reaction, we may warn them to stay off.
Okay.
But for those we give routinely who don't react to anything, that are not known to react to anything, what we do is to ensure that if they are reacting, we give them those pre-information before administering. If you have this itching, headache, body pains, fever, please report back. Then we have what we call an AFI kit that we can use.
Now, are you not making alternative, plans maybe to have some of these vaccinations in terms of tablets? Because the word injection generally scares people.
Let me tell you this. You see, for you to have any medication out, it will have passed through all the channels of analysis, research, and all that. I mean, it's only the mode or the method of delivery that is possible that is used. So if it was possible to
or most effective?
Yeah, possible and effective. If it was possible to use it give it as oral, it would have been given as such. It shouldn't be given as injection because the medical cycle actually frowns out the issue of giving injections. We really don't support injections, but if that's the only route, then we don't have any option. And vaccines like this is such. There is no oral route for this vaccination. There is only by injection, and they come in as small quantities, tiny. And actually, the vaccines are not just chemicals. These particular vaccines are what we call life-attenuated vaccines. That means they are the organisms themselves. The infection, you call it. The organism that's the microorganism that will cause that infection that has been killed. But that will contain or have that capability to stimulate your body to produce antibodies, which will now fight against any other such microorganism entering your body. You get it? And so it's not what we can swallow. If it was something we can swallow, like, you know, if you have heard of oral polio, that was possible to give it by mouth, which you go through your intestine and eventually do its work.
Okay,
But this one is only by injection.
all right, so what we're saying is that this vaccination can be gotten in any public health facility in a
Very
state.
well, very well.
Now, there was an allegation recently that some vaccines that are sent to Africa, Nigeria, I just wanted to react to this because it was an allegation on the social media that some vaccines sent to Africa and Nigeria designed in such a way that with time, that it makes our women, their body to start killing their unborn children, so to say. That the reaction to these vaccines is that their body becomes rejective, making women not to have children and all that. Is that correct?
Absolutely not correct. It's wrong. It's misinformation. Is employed by some group of persons to cause chaos.
But on your own part in the Ministry of Health, have you found this out? Have you done?
True. I'm actually a gynecologist and obstetrician gynecologist. Do you know what we are doing in the country as a whole? We are reducing. If you live in this country, you also realize that many people are fighting against not having unwanted babies. If these vaccines have been on for decades, if it was true that they were giving vaccines that will prevent women from later in life or if their children not having children, you get it now. You would have had all women being barren. And the vaccines are not only for men, women too, they are also for men. So it is not true. It's a misinformation and people should not accept those kind of claims. Because whether you want to hear it or not, there are also Africans and Nigerians, in some of these settings where these are produced. And these vaccines are not only restricted to Nigerians or Africans. They are also used in the Western world as the case may require. If they are traveling to this area where we have endemic cases of yellow fever and the likes, they also take the vaccine in the Western world. All right, it's not only Africans that take the vaccines, but some misinformation makes it look like, oh, they are doing it for Africa, but maybe because they don't pay for it sometimes. But it's actually free, but it is not a true claim, and we should, at every given opportunity, tell the world that this is misinformation, and we should not accept such statement. Okay. Because medicines are meant to give health, not to kill. And if it is found, even in retrospect, that it was ever done that way, you could imagine or you can try to plan what will be done to those people or the country that will do that. Okay. Because World Health Organization is not one country. All right? United Nations is not one country. So you cannot tell us, we have had Africans leading United Nations. So you cannot sit down on top of a case and be managing people going to kill your people. So it is not true, sir. Okay.
All right. I've been speaking with Dr. Samoyi Irowa, who is a Director, Disease Control, Edo State Ministry of Health, Incident Manager for the Yellow Fever Outbreak Response. Just like what I said, that yellow fever is in Edo State. There is an outbreak. And so far, about 5 confirmed cases, 5 confirmed local governments are said to have the yellow fever. And about 13, presumably that suspected cases of this yellow fever in this 13 local government. And just like what he said, that you can actually vaccinate yourself. You can take the vaccine against the yellow fever in any public health facility close to you. That's what you said. Yeah. Irrespective of any time of the day or between working hours.
Work hours. Okay. We have targeted between the hours of 8 o'clock in the morning and 4 p.m. in the evening. Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
They may work because of the peculiarity of some communities. They may work even through to the later part of the night. Okay. In some communities where, especially in the agrarian farming circles, where the farmers come back only in the evenings. Okay. So we have structured all that for some dynamics to be applied, even to the level that you can move to some settlements where there are no public settlements. We have what we call mobile feast posts. So we can move like from here to just in the community. Maybe like you want to move to Naifo, there's no primary care center, you go to Naifo and vaccinate people.
And these vaccines are healthy, they are not out of date?
Absolutely, absolutely good.
Okay. Absolutely. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Irowa, for joining us on the program today. And just about 6 more days from today is going to be the Christmas Day. And of course, about a few days to the Igwe Festival is on, I beg your pardon, but a few days to the Gwedo here and also the Ugiewe, and few days to the end of the year. It's just few days, few days, few days, few days. But most importantly, you really have to exercise care in everything that you do. And don't throw caution to the winds. Don't, don't get overexcited over things that you do this period. Well, it's natural to be excited, but you must know that moderation should be the watchword this period. Well, this is how we just draw the curtains today on the program this morning on ITV, and of course tomorrow Uyi Agbomofogbe is going to be here on the same program. My name is Evan Sunokuge, and of course I'll see you on the 26th. That's going to be on Wednesday next week by the special grace of God, and that's going to be on the Boxing Day, where we're going to be opening or boxing ourselves, as is normally said. Goodbye and God bless you.